Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments while I'm here. I have a good topic for you today, and it is a form of immigration relief that not a lot of people know about, that I want to bring to your awareness, and that is getting your work permit based on the abuse, exploitation by a relative. Yes, that does happen, and I want to explain how that can happen in order for one to get immigration relief. Now, of course, it's not a situation that anybody wants to be in, and it's usually a situation that individuals don't expect until they're actually in the middle of it. But it is one of the things that is common. And you may be in this situation and you may feel stuck, and I'm here to tell you that you may not be as stuck as you think you are. So I'm going to try to explain this in a very simple way. And in order to explain it in a simple way, I'm going to tell you a scenario. So what if you were in your country, or you were here, but say you were here with a visa, or you're out of status, and a relative, in this case on YouTube, the subject matter is getting a work permit based on a relative's abuse. But it's not only a relative. This could be an acquaintance. It could have been a friend. It could have been a family friend. It could have even been your parents. But say you're in a situation where this person says, stay here or come live with me. They have promises, and these promises would be would be, if you stay, I'll go ahead and get you your papers. I can do this. I'll adopt you. In some cases, some people will say things like, I'll adopt you and then get your papers, and then they'll say all of these great things. They'll say, why don't you stay, pursue the opportunities here? I can get you your papers. They encourage them to stay, to pursue some sort of option that is very enticing. And so you take their advice and you stay. You think they can help you. They tell you they can help you. Maybe they've told you, that they can get your work permit for you. They can adopt you and then get your papers. That they, after a certain while, they'll be able to get your papers, or they'll go to a lawyer. A lawyer can help you get the papers. But once you're in the situation, you find that this relative has put you to work. Maybe this relative has, instead of helping you to meet the goals or achieve the goals that they enticed you to stay for, maybe you find yourself working in the house. Maybe you find yourself doing what seems to be your relatives, your friends, whoever that person is that enticed you to stay. Maybe they're giving you things that benefits them and not necessarily you. So maybe putting you to work in the house. You have to cook, you have to clean, you have to iron their clothes, you have to wash their clothes, you have to take care of the kids. That's a very common one, where they keep you here and then you find yourself miserable staying in the house with the kids, not doing, this is against your will because you never signed up for it, but you're stuck in this situation. Or you were, if you've already left that situation, but you were, and this is the reason that you maybe ended up staying, or maybe never pursued a solution, maybe never went back home, is because this relative, this friend, this parent put you in this situation. If that's the case, there may be immigration relief for you. And that's because when someone does this to you, it is sort of inducing you to work with them, not sort of, it is inducing you to work with them for the purpose of labor, and fraudulently inducing you. So they tell you something nice that you may want to hear that entices you to stay, but they know that they can't achieve this for you. They're just trying to get you to stay in that position, stay within their control. If that's the case, you were in a situation where you were trafficked. Yes, This is something that a lot of people don't know about. When they hear trafficking, they think sex slave, they think someone who's locked in the basement, physically restrained. They never think that this could be a situation where you were told lies, or you were induced to do something and then you found yourself stuck in a situation where you were working for the relative or working for the friend or working for the acquaintance. If this is the case, though, it is considered labor trafficking under immigration law, and there is relief for this. So you don't necessarily have to have a marriage or have your relatives sponsor you. If you're in this situation, this could be your pathway to gain relief. This is what relief looks like. Once you're approved, there is an application process and a process to this, but once you're approved, you're able to get your 4-year work permit, and also 3 years. By the 3 years that you've been here, you can apply for your permanent resident. So it actually can lead to permanent residence here in the United States. It is an important form of relief that not a lot of people know about, and not even a lot of lawyers know this. Now, what does the process look like? Whenever I take on clients in these situations, the first thing we do is we determine what happened, what exactly happened, to make sure that you do meet the requirements as a labor trafficked victim. Now, this does not only cover labor trafficking, this also covers sex trafficking. So say you were in a situation where you thought you were getting into a romantic relationship. So this is not necessarily a relative. It could include a relative, by the way, but in this case, you were in a relationship, and then you found that maybe they started to put you in situations or tell you to perform acts that you did not want to, sexual acts that you did not want to do. And you felt like you had to do it because maybe you needed a place to stay, maybe you needed money, maybe you needed food, and so you had to go ahead and do these sexual acts to be able to support yourself. This is a form of sex trafficking, and it does count here for immigration relief as well. So both do count. The earlier scenario I gave you was labor trafficking, but there is the sex trafficking as well, and it is where you are induced by coercion, by force, by fraud to do sex acts for something of value. Something of value could be something like just making sure that your relatives are safe and sound, that they are supported financially, making sure that you get food, making sure you have shelter, making sure that they don't harm you. If that's the case, then this is sex trafficking as well. Now, once we determine you qualify, I do most of the heavy lifting for my clients. A part of this is to make sure that this is reported. If it is labor trafficking, and it depends on what type of trafficking and the nature of the trafficking, I do the reporting. So my clients, especially if they're in a situation where they have been traumatized, they don't necessarily have to deal with the initial part of the reporting. However, it is a part of the process. Once we get through that and we report it, we can file for relief for you as a trafficking victim. The processing times for this right now is 6 to 18 months, 6 on the lower end and 18 months on the longer end, just depending on whether they have more questions about this scenario. Right now, another thing people ask is, well, am I going to be deported what if this doesn't get approved? Am I going to be deported? Now, with my clients, I only take clients who qualify for this, that I have evaluated and they qualify. However, keep in mind that right now, with the current priorities of the Biden administration, they are not just seeking to take people who are applying for humanitarian relief and deporting them. They're not in that practice right now. They're focused on individuals who may be a danger to the public, a danger to national security. That's at the top of their list. So they're not seeking, their priority right now isn't to seek out law-abiding immigrants and then just scoop them up because they applied for humanitarian relief. So if you are going to apply, now would be the time to do that. I help clients with this process, and I can help you. Go ahead, call, schedule, and we'll determine whether you qualify and then get started. The best thing you can do, don't write off your situation. Let me hear what happened to you, and then we can determine what relief is right for you. You can go to the link in the profile. It's going to take you to the website where you can schedule your own appointment. You can go to the website, call, there's an online chat there, there's a contact form, so many different ways to get in touch, to talk. Also on YouTube, there is in the comment section or in the caption of the video, there's the link also to schedule. So you will always see the link to schedule in the comments. Go ahead and click on the link to be able to schedule your appointment, and let's get started. Now is the time to do that. Now I'm going to take questions before I head out. So put your questions in the comments. I see a ton coming in, so I'm going to go through. Thanks for your patience as I go through. Is it a good idea to travel outside the USA after getting asylum case approved? Whether it's advisable for you is going to require a consultation. Just because I don't know what your situation is are you going back to the country where you are seeking asylum because of persecution? If that's the case, then that may not be such a good idea. However, if it's another country and you do have the ability to get the advanced parole while you're on asylum, then that could be more advisable, but I don't know what your situation is, and I'm not your attorney, so I wouldn't be able to advise you specifically. That's where it's important to touch base with the attorney or get in touch with an attorney and talk about your plans to make sure you don't make any mistakes. Can I file for parents if I'm not a citizen? No, green card holders can't file for their parents. You'll have to apply for citizenship first. What's prosecutorial discretion? So it's where if you're going through deportation, they can decide to basically drop the proceedings and grant to you the ability to stay here. It's sort of like a deferred action where you get to stay here even though you don't have a status, an official formal status. You are allowed to stay and then get a work permit, and then you would check in with usually ICE to make sure that they're still good with granting you the prosecutorial discretion. My mom received work authorization and sister's US citizen filed for her, been waiting since February. So that's just the processing time right now. If there is something you're concerned about, that's where you need to schedule the consultation. Can I file for parents? So green card holders can't file for parents. You'll have to become a citizen. Visa work permit wait time. So I've seen as little as 4 months, but most are not taking 4 months. You should be waiting even up to a year to get that work permit based on the new policy, which is to get the work permit after so like a prima facie determination letter. So a bona fide filing determination letter is issued. Hello, I'm citizen looking to file for my parents. Can they add their child name and paper? No, they can't. So that's not allowed. Can green card holder file for grandchildren? No, green card holders. Now, here's where that may be possible though. A green card holder cannot file for their grandchildren directly. But what they can do is if they file for their child, the children who are under 21 and unmarried can be included on the filing, but that's the only way. Through an indirect filing where the grandchildren, where they're considered derivatives, they are included in the application, and then they get their green card along with the parents. Is the request for I-130 bad? Also been waiting on EAD. I've seen worse, but you should, and it sounds like you got a request for evidence, which is the I-130A. If you miss that form, they will not move forward with the process without that form. So it's going to delay. And the bad thing is that you're going to experience a delay in the processing until you submit that by a couple of months. But I've seen worse RFEs than that. Now, I don't know what the nature of the request for evidence is and what they ask regarding the I-130A. That's where it's important for you to schedule a consultation. I'm sorry, I'm a US citizen. Can I add my sisters on the paperwork when going to file for parents? No, you can't. Can a removal order be removed by asking OPLA? So it's not going to be, no, what you can do is it's called a joint motion where you can go back and ask them to submit a joint motion to the court to then reopen and then close the case. However, it's going to have to go back through the court. The attorneys on the other side, so the government attorneys cannot make that decision. Do you take asylum cases? Absolutely, I do. Call and we'll talk about what your situation is and we'll get right on it. How long does it take to get an interview after biometrics when taken filing for spouse? I wouldn't be able to tell you what the biometrics is. Biometrics are all over the place. The dates of biometrics and timelines after the biometrics all over the place. From the date of filing, I've seen in as little as 4 months. And I've seen as long as 9 months with the adjustment of status. How long does green card take to come? So when my clients are approved, I've seen it come in a week to 4 weeks time. What if the grandchildren never included in the filing? Can they add later? Yes, that's a possibility at the National Visa Center. How long does okay, and thanks for the share. I appreciate that. Keep those questions coming. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is answer these questions. And so far, these are great questions. I had my interview and they told me I'll receive my green card in 2 to 3 weeks, but no, I don't. So it's really a waiting game to see what they say right now. If you have any concerns, you'll have to contact them directly. How long does it take to get a work permit or green card after doing biometrics? So the biometrics isn't going to be the determining factor for the green card. Usually they have to, at a minimum, evaluate the evidence and determine whether they'll just send the green card in the mail or waive the interview. Or they schedule the interview and then if approved, they'll send the green card. How long is going to depend on a number of factors. What kind of application do you have filing? Do you have a family base? Do you have an employment base? Do you have humanitarian base? So it's going to come down to a lot of factors, including which service center is processing the case. Can I work remotely while I am on vacation in the USA? That is more complex, and you definitely need to consult an attorney to talk about work issues and whether that's going to count towards working without a permit. My sister's father filed her since 2019. Since nothing, he's in the USA, so schedule a consultation, see what's going on. It's not strange that it's taking a long time, because when you have a child, you're filing for a child who's over 21, it could take anywhere from 5 years to 12 years, just depending on their age and marital status. If they're unmarried, it's 5 to 7 years. If they're married, 12 years. I have been waiting for my green card for 1 year and 1 month. You should either seek legal advice or call the USCIS and find out what's going on. If I'm on a visitor's visa, can I get married in the USA? How long would it take for adjustment of status? Money back, that's where you should schedule the consultation. Now, remember that the information I'm giving here on TikTok and YouTube, this is not personalized legal advice. Whenever you're in doubt, whenever you have such personal, specific questions like this where you want to make a move, you should be scheduling a consultation. Now, is it advisable for you? You can get married anywhere you want to, but is it advisable for you based on your particular circumstances? That's where I need to know more. I've been waiting for 6 months, and until now, I didn't receive my green card. So go ahead, you'll have to call them since you've already done it. Get in touch with them and figure out what's going on. Okay, so, okay, thank you. She is under. So if she's under, it is taking about 2 years. But once again, remember, get legal advice, because I am just basing it on the limited, stating these just general information based on the limited information that you're giving me. Can you put the medical with the affidavit of support? You shouldn't be opening up the medical and putting it with the affidavit of support. Both do have to be submitted along with the adjustment of status. Sometimes the medical is submitted later, and sometimes I submit it as late as the interview. However, whether the medical and for example, put it in the same envelope by opening up the medical, that you should always keep it sealed. I filed Vawa in November, haven't received my work permit. Is it normal? Yes, it could take up to a year to get the work permit. And keep in mind, when you file for Vawa, you do have to file for adjustment of status at the same time. You're not going to get the work permit just based on the Vawa application. You have to submit your adjustment of status, your work permit application, along with the Vawa. If you haven't done that, then that's what you're missing here. Is filing faster for an unmarried adult within the US or outside the US by their parents? So an unmarried adult who's 21 and over, both processes, it's going to take 5 to 7 years, and it's hard. If they're inside of the US, there's a lot that has to fit, a lot of pieces that have to fit together for them to be able to be allowed to stay here and apply. So if you're thinking about that, about an option, or you know someone who they are over 21 or over and they want to file in the US, they need legal advice pronto, because if anything goes wrong there, they could find themselves in trouble with immigration. Hi there. So can I submit but in a sealed envelope? So loaners, I don't advise on how to prepare your documentation, how to submit it. That is what I reserve when I'm the kind of information and advice I reserve when I'm working with my own clients' information, just because I don't want the liability of telling you something on a live in public and I don't know what your situation is. So I looked online, see Nebraska has Hubby's I-130. What if I wait over 10.5 months for an approval? So it just depends on their processing times. You'll have to contact them. How long does it take for a citizen child to apply for the parent of the citizen child has to be 21 and over to file. And right now, if it's adjustment of status, you're looking at about 6 months to a year. If it's consular, meaning the parent is outside, prepare for a 12-month process, even up to an 18-month process. Can I get the opportunity to stay on visa since my US child was assaulted? Wingelgram, definitely get in touch. Let's talk about what happened there. Yes, there is a possibility that definitely can happen through the U visa and also maybe T, but and it depends on what the situation is, but there may be other options. So that is where it's very important to schedule an appointment. This is what I help my clients with, and I can assist you go ahead, go to the link in the profile and schedule an appointment, and we can talk about getting started, because I'm so sorry that has happened. But you know, there is relief. I just have to understand what situation occurred in your case. Hey, can I bring my son? It depends on what kind of application you're filing. All right, so I am going to head out for the day. So if you look, I'm talking on YouTube here now. If you look in the questions in the comments, you'll see the phone number, you'll see the link to schedule. I'm also going to put it in the comments under the immigration attorney. The phone number is 561-405-4889. So you can go ahead, call. Scheduling coordinators are available to help you schedule right now up until 6:30 p.m. And also you can schedule your own appointment by going to the link in the profile. After 2 years interview for I-485 with no response from USCIS, is that a mean case will be denied? Not necessarily, but I have to understand what the situation is. Why is it 2 years after the interview? Have they issued additional communications with you? When you file for the consultation, do you pay the same time? Yes, you do, to go ahead and make sure that the time is confirmed, because there are other individuals who want the time. And so you do have to confirm with payment in order to make sure you can lock that time in. How long does USCIS take to send someone to biometrics after filing Vawa, adjustment of status? So about 2 months. That's about the timeline that I'm seeing right now. Live in Florida, still 18 to 20 months for spouse. No, is it for adjustment of status for the I-130? And it doesn't matter in the state you're living in. What matters is what's the service center that's processing your case. But I'm seeing 9 to 12 months for the I-130. Adjustment of status, I'm seeing 5 to 8 months for those. Documents to expedite work permit with Vawa. So to expedite, you have to meet specific criteria and be able to show that evidence. And that's going to be a consultation to determine whether you qualify for that. I do expedite for my clients if it's warranted. And so it comes down to what their circumstances are. How long does concurrent filing for marriage petition take? So right now I'm seeing 5 months to 8 months, but you could see anywhere from 5 months to a year, but I'm seeing it post-COVID, it's going a little faster, so 5 to 8 months. Hi there, is getting prima facie a good sign of getting approval? It's a good sign. It means that your case is going in the right direction. Keep in mind though that you should definitely quell your expectations. Make sure that you are ready to reply to any request for information that they may have. A prima facie though does mean that they, based on all the evidence that they've looked at, they would approve it if all is true, and then they send it to be reviewed with a fine-tooth comb. So it's a matter of waiting to see what happens with the final decision. It doesn't guarantee an approval, but it means your case is going in the right direction. Does marriage petition by a military spouse take a shorter time? Not necessarily, unless there are special circumstances that justify a faster time. All right, so I'm going over to Instagram. On Instagram, I'm the immigration attorney. If I didn't get to your questions, you can join me there, where I'm going to come with a topic and continue taking questions there. So I'll see you in a minute on Instagram, the immigration attorney. If you don't have it, guess what? I'll be back tomorrow, where I'll take more of your questions tomorrow at around 4 p.m. So join me then. In the meantime, you can click on the link in the profile to take you to the website to go ahead and schedule your own appointment. You'll have everything there at the link to be able to contact the office and get on my calendar. so that the sooner you do this is the sooner we can evaluate what you qualify for and get started right away. All right, have a good one.